People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
Good evening. Welcome to WSBI, your resource for success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring women-owned businesses from across the country. And now, for your host, Kimberly McLemore.
All right. Good evening and welcome to WSBI, your Resource for Success podcast program, where you get to meet inspiring entrepreneurs and women-owned businesses from across the country. I am your host, Kimberly McLemore, CEO and founder of the Women's Small Business Initiative, LLC, and award-winning author. And welcome to another night of sharing. With us, we have the music artist Jourin Hannah. Jourin was born in Richmond, Virginia. He started getting into music around the age of 14. Jourin plays guitar and keyboard, and his main style of music is smooth jazz. He currently has several albums out today. So let's welcome to my platform, Mr. Jourin Hannah. Hey, Jourin, how are you doing today?
Hey, Kimberly, how you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm excited to have you on the show this evening with me. I cannot wait to hear your story. Love some smooth jazz. So I'm just, truly excited to just chat with you. But before we get down and talk about, your journey of being a music artist, why don't you tell my listeners just a little bit more about who Jourin Hannah really is?
Well, I've always been, a creative person. I remember, I used to play with, Play-Doh when I was a kid. I would always do little skits with my action figures, and I was always a creative person. So I think that's always been part of my life anyway. So I've always liked music, but I never really got into it like that until I was like maybe 13, 14. And I remember getting my first keyboard, and I would just be playing around, just fooling around. I couldn't really do much with it. I was just pecking around and just making up beats and stuff. And I actually remember when I first started recording, I used to have like an MP3, and I would hit the record button, and I remember how terrible the audio was, because I didn't really know how to do it professionally. But it was fun.
All right. Well, Jourin, you're originally from Richmond, Virginia. Are you still in this area?
Yeah, I'm still in the Richmond area.
All right. So we're down the street from each other, so to speak. So I'm right up here in the Woodbridge, Virginia area, of course, outside of D.C. So it's always great to talk to somebody who is literally in the same community, so to speak. So, I want to hear more about your story as far as, what really got you into music. Now, you said you started music at age 14, and of course you played around with some first instruments, but what really inspired you to decide to get into the music a little bit more?
I think it was a couple of things. I know my older brother, he had electric guitar. And a lot of different things, like, for example, like just the idea, like I used to hum a lot when I was a kid. And I just like I just like the idea of just, making music or something. I just didn't really know how to express it like that. I remember even I used to play drums for a hot minute I didn't stick with that very long, but I remember taking drum lessons for a little bit of time. I think just from listening to music long enough, I remember my parents used to, used to play music around the house, and like when they were cleaning, or I remember listening to those 70s, 80s, people like I remember Earth, Wind, and Fire being played around, and Roberta Flack and Sade, and all those different artists, I think inspired me. I just like the way the music sounded.
Right.
And I've always imagined. I started to imagine me being able to make something like that at some point.
So are you a self-taught musician, or have you gone through schooling and so forth to help you with your musicianship?
I mean, for the most part, I'm pretty much self-taught. I mean, I'm what I call a YouTube musician. because
love it.
I learned a lot of stuff from YouTube, because I took guitar lessons for a little bit of time and stuff like that, but I learned the majority, especially when it comes to like music production and stuff like that. I'm self-taught with a lot of that stuff. Like nobody really sat down and taught me how to use a recording program. I kind of taught myself how to do that. But I would say probably like 97% of what I know came from self-taught and YouTube videos.
Well, but there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, it's a lot of artists are self-taught, and then of course some artists, will, if they have the opportunity, will take it to a different level as far as learning other things that they want to learn, different techniques, and they'll go to school and so forth. But there are many artists who are very well known, who are definitely self-taught and have taken the time to learn. And of course today we have, different opportunities where you can learn things much quicker. And of course it's, it's not as expensive to learn some of those things. And then of course you can still build on your craft of what you're doing. So, even though we're laughing about you being a YouTube junkie, there's nothing wrong with being a YouTube junkie. You're doing your thing, and that's the most important part. So, how many years have you actually been playing? And then talk about some of the albums that you have out.
As far as how long I've been playing, I've been playing probably about, I would say 15 probably. 15 years or so. Because I know I started playing guitar when I was 17. I was fooling around with the keyboard when I was like 13 or 14. And then I started playing guitar when I was like 17. But I didn't really start getting into I started getting to the serious, like when I started learning how to record stuff, better. I would say I've been doing that for probably about 10 years.
Okay, so you said that you had several albums out. Talk about those albums that you have out.
Yeah, so recently I just released a self-titled album. It's just my name, it's like a self-titled album I put out like maybe a month or two ago. And before that, I came out with an album called Central, and I actually released that through a record. It's like a small record label I'm working with called Unisoul Records. They're like a radio network company, so I released that album through them.
Okay.
And I have probably have about maybe 10 albums out there. Let's see. I have Central. I have my self-titled album. And I have an EP that came out called Center of Our Love. I came out with that maybe last month. That EP came out.
Okay. Talk about the experience of being able to, record. who do you said you worked with another recording company to do some of your albums. So, we have some listeners that are listening to you talk, and I'm sure that they're thinking in the back of their head, hey, I want to be an artist. What are the steps I need to do? Who do I need to, be in contact with? How do they get themselves started? So talk a little bit about your journey in that perspective of what it means to be a music artist and making these steps, because you've been playing for years and, obviously you've taken this very seriously. You really have gotten into, you're learning more each day, but there's always a journey that comes with this. And it's, you have the good, the bad, and the ugly of all of it. So dive into a little bit about your journey.
Well, like when I first got started, of course I didn't really know what I was doing like that. I mean, like I said, I remember just hitting the record button, and I remember all the fuzz in the background, and you could hear the pots and pans and the trucks driving and all that. It wasn't like I remember it was just raw recording. I didn't know what I was doing.
Right.
I could hear the garbage truck and I could hear everybody. You could hear everything in the background. But so when I first started, I mean, I was just fooling around, just coming up with whatever I could come up with. I wasn't really, I wouldn't say I wasn't serious, but I was just experimenting more so. But so that was really the main beginning of the journey as far as that being an artist is concerned. And I remember I used to not really be a smooth jazz artist like that. I mean, I would record all kinds of music. Like one time I was on a rock and roll fetish. I was trying to make my own rock music and different things. I wasn't always a smooth jazz concentrated artist like that.
Mm-hmm. So what got you into moving from smooth jazz and, from where you were, like you said, playing all types of genres, and then you got in, how did you get into smooth jazz? Because smooth jazz is phenomenal. And to me, it's a little more eclectic, and, it's something you really have to pay a lot of attention to and build. What made you go from one extreme to the next?
I think, I grew up on that kind of music anyway. Like, my parents played that kind of music in the house most of the time anyway. So that's really my roots anyway. Okay. It's just that I think what happened was I kind of deviated from it a little bit because, I started playing guitar and I kind of want to explore other, I was exploring other genres and stuff like that. But I think my foundation has always been smooth jazz all along. I just really never tapped into it like that. Mm-hmm. But so it took me a while to really nail down, what is my sound, like what is my style. Mm-hmm. So, because how sometimes when you first start off, you just try to do everything. You don't really know what you're doing. But it wasn't until maybe a couple of years ago that I actually figured out what my style actually is. Mm-hmm. So, I've just come to realize, in recent years that I'm a smooth jazz person. So that's what I stuck with. That's what I started focusing on and, diving into mostly.
Right. And so being that that's what you enjoy and love, so you said it's taken you the last couple of years to really figure out, hey, this is where I need to be at. This is my foundation, and you enjoy that the most. So as a part of being in this industry, of music, who do you actually record with currently? And do you have like management that's helping you out, or are you, currently looking for, other people to help you with your albums and so forth? Talk a little bit about that process.
Currently, I mean, I don't really have any management. I don't have management right now. I mean, I'm hopefully I'll get some at some point. I don't really have anybody who I'm working with. Like the only people I'm really working with right now is the radio network company, but they're not really a big label. They're like a small, small radio network. They're not really, big or anything. But as far as like actual like management and I don't really have any of that going on right now.
Right. So you're an independent music artist then, is what
yeah,
you
I'm
are.
pretty much independent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So,
I'm independent right now.
mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
when, being an independent music artist, that means that there's a lot of work that goes into that, So talk about how, what you do as an independent artist to keep yourself noticed and out there.
It's not easy to, it takes a lot. I mean, right now, currently, I'm trying to, build a small band, like even a couple of people right now. I mean, because I pretty much do all the recording and stuff by myself. I don't really have a band right now. I pretty much do everything by myself right now. But I'm working on, as far as like how do I promote myself. I mean, really, I found out the best way you can do it is really just be able to get out and do performances and stuff. But it's hard to get gigs like that. I mean, at least for me, I've had a few solo gigs every once in a while, but and I play with a.
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
If you're a maintenance supervisor for a commercial property, you've had to deal with everything from leaky faucets to flickering light bulbs. But nothing's worse than that ancient boiler that's lived in the building since the day it was built, 50 years ago. It's enough to make anyone lose their cool. That's where Grainger comes in. With industrial-grade products and dependable fast delivery, Grainger can help with any challenge. From worn-out components to everyday necessities. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
A Richmond party band right now. Currently, I play with a band called Inside Out, like a Richmond party band.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of cover music and stuff. So I mean, I'm getting experience as far as that's concerned. But as far as like my own independent, I haven't really had much solo performances lately. But I'm because it's kind of hard to. It's really difficult to promote yourself as an independent artist unless you, you have to have some sort of, you got to have some shows. You got to have a way of connecting with people, which I try to do. I'm trying to, promote myself online as much as I can, but it's difficult when you don't have, representation and stuff like that.
Have you been doing, obviously, with the, you said that you haven't had a whole lot of shows that you've been able to do out. And of course, we went through the pandemic and that was a showstopper for a lot of people. So had you been able to pivot yourself and do, maybe some live Facebook shows or Instagram shows, where you can share your talent and, your songs, because you have some amazing songs out there. So have you been able to pivot in that direction so that people can continue to know who Jourin is and, what he has to offer out here?
I've actually tried to, you can go on Facebook Live. So I've actually tried doing that, which I need to get. I need to get some, I guess, better streaming equipment. But I've actually tried going live a couple of times, and I don't really get a whole lot of eyeballs.
Well, you can't stop. Come on, Jourin. You got to keep going. You got to keep doing it so people know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean, you have some amazing music, and tonight, people are going to have that privilege to hear your song. that you have that's we're going to be listening to is called Watching the Sun Go Down. So, to hear, first of all, your name stands out. When I talked to you before we got started, I was talking about how beautiful your name is. What is the meaning of your name, Jourin? Because it stands out, and to have something like that on top of being able to play great smooth jazz and, being a music artist, what does it all mean to you?
It's funny. I asked my mom, what does my name actually mean? It's funny because she told me a story about how at first she was going to call me Jarrell, because like one of my mom's favorite artists is Al Jarrell. So I think she was good. So she told me she was actually she was contemplating on naming me Jarrell at one point, but then she said she wanted something more original, so she ended up coming up with Joe in some kind of way. So I don't really know I don't know exactly what my name means, other than it's just, I guess, different, but I don't really know what it means exactly. But that was pretty much the story behind that.
Well, the listener, what you just said is that your mom said she wanted something original. And so Jourin is absolutely original name. And to have that originality connected with your smooth jazz, to me, that sounds like a perfect combination.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look, I'm giving you all these tips, Jourin, okay? When you become rich and famous, make sure you remember me in the background, okay?
I will. I won't forget. I promise I won't forget.
Oh, wow. Because, I mean, being in music, being a music artist is a lot of hard work. And, I have talked to many, artists, and one of the things that they always say is, they have to keep believing in their dreams and keep moving forward and so forth. And with you, doing what you're doing, are you actually, you write your own songs, correct?
Oh, yeah, I pretty much write my own stuff. I mean,
so you produce, you write, you sing, so you're doing it all. And as an indie artist, that's a lot of work. And, so it's definitely important that we continue to hear you and, you be heard and people know your story, because, even though being a music artist today it seems like it's a simple thing to do. People can jump on and, we have this virtual reality world we live in, people can be seen much sooner and can continue to grow faster, but there's still a huge part of being a music artist. It's not just about being seen. It's the business world. It's the business side that if you're not in tune to that, it can be very difficult to get yourself moving forward. And, so I applaud anybody who tries to be into this industry and, doing what they're doing. And, Jourin, you just continue to keep plowing forward. And, like I said, hopefully tonight, when people hear your music, that, this will be one way that will continue to help you grow and then, get the word out, and, you can continue to share what you're doing. Because like I said, from what I've already heard, I was in awe, and I cannot wait till we get to the end of the show so I can put the music on for everybody.
I appreciate it.
But yeah, so I have just a couple more questions for you, Jourin. And so do you have any gigs that you are going to be coming up here for the rest of the year?
I mean, right now, as of right, there was some discussion about the label that I'm working with. They were trying to put some kind of indie artist show together in Texas. I think that's supposed to be, hopefully, it's supposed to be some kind of indie artist showcase going on in Texas in September.
Okay.
So hopefully it now work, and hopefully it'll go through and it'll happen. But that's as far as my solo project is concerned. But as far as the other stuff, like I said, I'm still playing with the party band, so I'm still being active some kind of way, musically.
Okay. All right. Well, hopefully people will be following you, trying to figure out what's going on. And can you let the listeners know how they can find you, your social media information?
Yeah, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. Just my name, Jourin Hannah, JOURINHANNAH. Jourin Hannah 3, I think it is. Let me see. Yeah, I think it's Jourin Hannah 3. And I'm on Instagram also. I'm not really on Instagram that much, but I do have an Instagram.
Well, I want to start seeing you on Instagram regularly. Okay, Jourin? Because that is where you need to be. So we want to see you, not just on Facebook. We want to see you on the IG, because you need to be doing those live shows on the IG so we can hear more of your awesome music that we're going to be playing. But before you go, tell the listeners a little bit about what is the meaning of the song, Watching the Sun Go Down. How did you come up with that title?
I'll give you some history about a lot of times, like when I'm naming a song in general, like sometimes I don't even have a name for it. Like I'll just make it first. And sometimes, like, depending on how the song sounds, a lot of times I'll name a song based on how it sounds. Like when you listen to that song, for example, Watching the Sun Go Down, you can kind of, if you listen to how it sounds, you can kind of visualize, standing on a bench, not a bench, but on a porch or somewhere. You can kind of visualize watching, like, literally the sun go down with that kind of music. Like, it's hard. It's kind of hard to explain, but the best way I can explain it is, like, a lot of times instrumental music can speak for itself, and you can kind of visualize what the song sounds like. Like when you listen to that song, you literally visualize the sun going down, and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Or like sometimes the tone of the song, you can kind of guess what the song is talking about, even if it has no words in it,
Exactly.
So that's a lot of times I'll make a song, for example. I'll just write a song, and then I'll just name it based on what I think it sounds like. Like if it sounds like something, like if it sounds like something that you hear on the beach or something, I'll name a song. I'll name it because it sounds that way to me. So I'll just name it something based on what I think it sounds like. That's pretty much how I come up with stuff like that.
All right. Well, that's a good way to do any song. So like I said, I'm really excited about us having the opportunity to hear this again this evening. For those new listeners, for me, it's going to be a second time around, so I'm even more excited. But before we end the show, again, I just want to say thank you so much, Jourin, for your time this evening and you spending it with me for a little bit. I appreciate that. But before you leave this evening, do you have any last words for our listeners?
I guess I'll leave some encouragement. I mean, all I can really say really is that, it takes a lot of work to not just music, but pretty much everything in life in general. It takes a lot of persistence, and you just have to keep at it, and it may take a little bit of time to. I mean, because I'm still working at it myself, so all I would just say is just keep working on it and don't get discouraged, and don't. I know sometimes it's hard to be encouraged when sometimes you may have stuff going on, or it's hard to stay encouraged all the time. But just everything has a season, so don't get discouraged by different things. Just keep going and keep at it, and just push through, and
People are driven by the search for better. But when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. The hiring process can be slow and overwhelming. Simplify hiring with Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform. With over 350 million global monthly visitors according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for scheduling, screening, and messaging so you can connect with candidates faster. Join more than 3.5 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Listeners of this show will get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. That's Indeed.com/PODKATZ13. Terms and conditions apply.
something will come out at some point. You just have to, you're not going to feel like it all the time, but just keep at it and just stay encouraged any way you can.
All right. Well, you're absolutely right. You got to take it one day at a time and just keep moving forward. So, again, congratulations to you on what you're doing. Continue to shine, because we're excited about having you out here doing your thing. And again, I appreciate you coming on the show with us, Jourin. You enjoy the rest of your evening. And of course, like I said, for everybody else, before we close our show this evening, we're going to be listening to the song Watching the Sun Go Down. But it always leads me to ask my listeners before I end the show, what are your dreams? What are you really reaching for? And if you're not sure, but you need somebody to talk to, just give me a jingle or just send me a quick email at kimberly@wsbilc@gmail.com. And let's have that chat. Let's talk about your dreams and let's turn those dreams into real goals. And of course, if you want more of your resource for success, you can donate to support the podcast at our Cash App. It's $, with KMCLEMORE, or go to www.wsbilc.com. And again, we would like to thank you all for listening to us tonight. We will be back next week with more amazing guests. Be sure to follow us on iHeartRadio, or you can listen to wherever you listen to your podcasts. And of course, you can download our mobile app as well. Until then, enjoy the rest of your evening and good night.